And let's turn the camera to the candles. And we'll see if we have a bunny sighting this evening.
Shechina Eloteinu Ruach Haolam Asher Kidshatnu b'mitzvoteha V'tzivatnu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Holy One. Your presence fills creation and connects us through the teaching of lighting of the Sabbath lights.
All right, we have candles lit. We welcome Shabbat in. Let's do just a little bit of Shalom Aleichem, as much as I can usually remember, but we'll use the version by our friend Taya Sher, also known as Holy Taya, because I like this one. Shalom Aleichem, Malchei Hasharit, Malchei Hasharit Elyon, Bimeh. I'm gonna screw the Hebrew up, so I'm switching to the English, cause I have to have the words in front of me to get this one right. Come in peace, angels. I'm not doing this one tonight because I can't seem to get this one right. And it's a really beautiful version, and I usually play a recording and get to just sing along with Holy Taya. Shalom Aleichem, Malchei Hashalom, Malchei Hashalom Elyon. I'm looking it up really fast, 'cause I like these words. Hold that thought, not my best night. Just one more second. Let's see if this works. Please sing at home and ignore the crazy lady. Not entirely, though. Sorry about that, everyone. That was terrible. I'm getting back on script. I'm so sorry. And if you've ever wondered if you could lead services here at OneShul, I have now shown you that you can just embarrass yourself, and it's really okay in the long run. Oh, I'm sorry, everybody. All right, let's start with our service. Each section of the Kabbalat Shabbat service is led in traditionally with a psalm. And what I've done is given a kavanah, an intention to each of those areas. So you can think of these as meditations. You can listen, you can read along. You can, if you're still able to write for yourself, write, draw, drum, dance, sing, whatever moves you. Share in the chat room whatever thoughts it's bringing up for you. So please feel free, whatever way it works for you to engage with this. So we begin by coming into presence with gratitude, and this is Psalm 95, and the version we're going to use is the one from Rejoice, Beloved Woman. I invite you to use whatever version moves you. Sing to Chochmah a joyful song. She is our God, the rock everlasting, our deliverer. Let us come into her presence with gratitude, singing our thanks. Our great mother is elemental to all things. Her achievements can be seen in the depths of the earth and on the highest mountains. All hearts and all thoughts are hers. As is the sea and the land, she is the blueprint for everything that is. She is the mother who has birthed all, and she is the substance of all creation. Let us bow down and touch the earth, her body, and let us worship before her. She is our God, our shepherd, and our mother. She has carried us safely and warmly within her. She has spoken to us, and we heard her words in the quiet places in our hearts. We have not turned away from her, nor become stubborn. We have not strayed away for any period of time. Chokhmah has vowed she will not grant the pernicious rest. They will always feel her anger. Some lovely thoughts in the chat room from that I just want to share for make sure everybody can see them. Emma was sharing the idea that spontaneity and human frailty are beautiful and bring their own delight. Thank you. I like to model all things I can try and model. But one of the things I love about this Psalm 95 is one, the use of the name of God, Chokhmah, which is wisdom, the wise one. It's a very ancient name. It's found in Psalms regularly. And most of this one I love because it's just about giving thanks, and it's about being present in creation with gratitude. I always find that last line really strange though. And this is in the traditional translations as well. There is, from this idea of presence and gratitude, to suddenly, she will not grant the pernicious rest, and they will always feel her anger. It always just feels so slightly off from the rest of it, as though we can't just be grateful, we then have to have that touch of fear as well. And creation is awe-inspiring and fear-inspiring, and the divine can be both. It just seems like a strange piece right there for me. I don't know how that rings for you all. So we begin with that first step, and you can also think of this almost like a physical journey. Each piece is a step or a labyrinth that you're walking through to get to the center where you welcome the Holy One and the Sabbath into your week, into your life this week. So the first step, which we just finished, is coming into presence with gratitude. Our second step on our journey tonight is honoring the divine presence. And this is Psalm 96. Again, these are the traditional psalms that are read or sung in different fashions during Kabbalat Shabbat. Sing to Shaddai a new song. Sing all the cosmos to the Mother. Sing to God and bless her name. Tell of her protection given faithfully each day. Tell stories of her works and tell of the great deeds she has brought into being. Our God Shaddai is worth of praise, and she is good beyond all that is. Material possessions, fame, and pleasure are nothing. Shaddai is the source of all delights, gifts, and well-being. Her presence conveys splendor and majesty. In her holy body resides power and beauty. We are the gifts of her body, and she feeds us at her breast. Honor the glorious name of Shaddai. Bring your offerings, carry them into her court. Worship Shaddai as is just and befitting. Shaddai is firm and unshakable. She rules our hearts. She rules hearts and justice and the earth with compassion. She is the bride who comes to give birth. The fields bloom, the seas roar, the trees sing for joy, and the earth is glad to be engendered by her. And yes, it is my practice to pray in the divine feminine, but I think on Shabbat it's even more important because this is when we welcome the Sabbath bride. So why wouldn't we frame the whole service around that? If God is neither male nor female, then we pray to both or neither. And yeah, it's rather like a parent, and a lot of the Psalms address God as parent, and similar to on Rosh Hashanah, we talk Avinu Malkeinu, our Father, our King, and we implore God as parent. And it keeps us human and reminds us where we are. I personally engage with God as partner as a general rule, but at the same time, I might be co-creating on this earth. I always have to remember that the Holy One is beyond comprehension in so many ways, and I can barely understand what a person next to me is trying to think. I can't imagine what trying to manage the entire existence might be like. So I can't think of the Holy One on a totally human level, almost more as a force, but a sentient force. I think it really is, a lot of these sort of look at that tension that we have in Judaism between God as personal being and God as ruling force in the world, and how those two things intertwine. So our steps of our journey tonight: we first come into presence with gratitude, we then honor the divine presence, and now we move to the third step, which is aligning our hearts with Shaddai. This is Psalm 97. Shaddai is everywhere. Let all creation rejoice. Coastal lands rejoice. Clouds and thick darkness gather around her. The only justice is hers, and righteousness is the source of her power. Fire precedes her, clearing the way. Lightning illuminates the world. People see her power and tremble. Mountains melt like wax at her sight. The skies display her glory, and people know her justice. Those who worship themselves are put to shame. People boasting of worthless deeds are made to feel humiliation. Align your hearts with Shaddai, or feel the pain of her rebuke. She is the cosmic mother, and there is no life outside of her. She has no evil, and those who welcome evil do not walk with her. First, she is all wholeness. Her light dawns for the just and illumines their hearts. Rejoice in her and praise her holy name. Whoosh! This one always hits me, because I know that whenever I find myself reveling in things that are not aligned with what I would think are the way of the Holy One, I usually feel it pretty quickly after that. That if my pride is in things that aren't about making the world a better place, that aren't about bringing beauty into the world, that aren't about serving the Holy One and serving people, that pretty quickly after that I get cosmic whack upside the head of some kind. And I find that the more I try to align with that, the easier my life gets. So I don't know what that says about my life right now. But I do my best. And I think that's maybe for me why Elul is always so challenging, is it's that moment to really remind me of where my priorities are supposed to be before I step in front of the gates at Rosh Hashanah. So that's where mine is. And some great stuff in the chat room. Y'all are letting Diane and Sarah just chat away, so please feel free to join in. And Sarah and Diane, in no way was that trying to shush you. I love it. Yeah, I think of God as partner as well, co-creating with us. But I also know that I'm creating in this tiny little place, and the Holy One is creating on this massive macro level. In the same way that the organisms inside of my body are co-creating my life with me, but they're not exactly thinking of things on the same term I am. My mitochondria are not worried about getting me to work every day, but they are co-creating my life with me, because without them doing their jobs in my body, I can't live. So that's how I always see it. And yes, I totally agree to let all creation dance. So again, the steps of our journey that we've already taken tonight: we've come into presence with gratitude. We've honored the divine presence. We've aligned our hearts with Shaddai, the Holy One. And now we honor the works of Shaddai. This is Psalm 98. Again, we're still using the versions by Barbara Monda. Sing a new song to Shaddai, for she has done marvelous things. Her gentle hands and strong arms have shown her saving power. She has shown mercy and revealed her love to the loyal children, and the ends of the earth know her ways. Make happy sounds to praise her. Woo! All the cosmos worships her with the song of its being. The melody of life rises to her hearing. The entire body of creation sways in the worship of Shaddai. The seas rumble and the fish dance for her. Hills cover themselves in softness of blossoms to praise her. Reeds sing their thin song, and elephants trumpet the fullness of their being for her to hear. The waters of the seashore clap in praise of her works. Joy comes to all beings living in her. This one always reminds me of, there's an ancient book called the Ketzirah, and it's the song of creation, the song of nature. And it's this really amazing Jewish text because each piece is how a different part of creation is singing the song of the Holy One. From the clouds and the sun to rabbits and rodents, everything you can imagine. And it's such an incredible text to engage with the world that we live in, and that idea of God is singing and everything is singing God's praises. Sorry, and I looked over and my 3 rabbits are staring at me in the freakiest way right now. They're creeping. Hi guys. They're really into services apparently. All right, I would segue over, but even my 3 rabbits are singing the song of creation and totally paying attention to services tonight. And so I want to share what Brian said. So Brian said, we are creative partners with God, but we must always remember that it's God and God only who allows us to be his or her creative partner. Absolutely. And again, I think it's all in how we perceive and understand God. And that, yes, in the same way, yes, I can't say no to that, Brian. I think that is. And I think it's... yeah, rabbits are a lot smarter. I think most creatures just get this stuff intuitively. JD, I don't know how, I'm just gonna call you Jones. How's that for now? So yes, they're definitely going, you're just getting this, or I'm just talking too much and they're freaked out. So I think that is important, and I think being honest with each other in these services about how we understand God goes a lot to building bridges. There is a great book called The 4 Gods of America, or America's 4 Gods. I've probably talked about this one before. It's a really amazing study. Seriously, Brian, rabbits don't overthink. Little tiny brains. But it's an amazing study of American culture and how Americans, in particular, understand God. It focuses heavily on Christians because that is the predominant religion in our country, but when I read it, I found the same thing in Judaism. And I think the more we're willing to talk about it with each other and be honest about it, even within one community, people can have really different understandings of what God is. So I think it's really important, Brian, to say what you think in these moments, and everyone else as well. Yeah, it's a great book. It's an easy read. It's also a fantastic read, Tracy. I really recommend it highly. For some people, there's that deist idea where God has set up the world and left. That's the book of Job. Job kind of leads us in that direction in some ways. For some, God is a super personal, God loves me as an individual and is involved in my life every day. For some, it's somewhere in between the two, and I forget the 4th official one. Angry God. For some, God is terrifying, scary, and mostly here to punish us. And most people fall either directly in one of those or somewhere in the middle. And so that idea of God as co-creator and where we fall in that, or how it works with us in the world. So, sorry, a little dissertation there. Absolutely. I have changed my view. I think anyone who says they understand God is, I can't even imagine, for me, it's fluid and it depends on the day and the experience I'm having. And as I grow in my study and understanding, it's constantly. And again, do people, is it him? Is it her? Is it it? Is it a collective of some kind that somehow had, okay, that's kind of Borg-like reference I was about to make, but is it a collective consciousness? Don't worry, I'm not crossing over to polytheism on you. Just expanding the idea of consciousness. So it is something that can be really out there for a lot of people. And so I'm going to take us back through our steps we've taken again tonight, coming back into our service more directly. So first is coming into presence with gratitude. The second is honoring the divine presence. The third is aligning our hearts with Shaddai. The fourth is honoring the works of Shaddai. And now we step into our fifth, and that is Shekhinah Echat Ela Malka. Shekhinah is one, and she is the queen. And if you want to go with Adonai Echad on this, divine masculine, the Lord is one, and El Malech. So, and he is king, the king. Go for it. I think there is room in God for all of these ideas that we have, and all of these ways that we experience God and reflect God back out into the world. So, Shechina Echat Ela Malka. This is Psalm 99. Shechina reigns. All people quiver at her greatness. She sits enthroned with angels, and the earth moves with her sways. She stands over creation and delights in it. Awesome is her being. Praise belongs to her. We bow to you, Chokhmah, divine wisdom. You established justice and forge honesty. Only one as holy as you can do this. Miriam, Ruth, and Devorah invoked her name. They called on wisdom, and she answered them. Wisdom came clothed in clouds, carrying her laws. She teaches us to keep her decrees. Chokhmah, divine judge, forgives the penitent and avenges all wrongdoing. Sophia knows all there is to know. Praise the Mother God. Worship at her mountain. She is Chokhmah, Sophia, Shechina, the holy, powerful, and wise one. Praise the Mother God. Worship at her mountain. She is Chokhmah, Sophia, Shechina, the holy, powerful, and wise one. I am going to let you guys say what you want to say right here, because there's another chant I want to share with you all that is really tied into that one. It is based on text found in the Kohenet Siddur in the morning prayer service, and it's been dying to be turned into a chant, and I found it a few weeks ago, and it goes absolutely with that. So the English translation is, "Blessed are you, Shechina, Queen, to whom we ululate in praise." Feel free, this is definitely one, sing it along with me as you pick it up. There's repetitions. We'll only do this for a couple of minutes, and then we'll move into the rest of our service. So the words are also on Pilapam right now, so if you're looking for it, it's there. I start in the middle because there's so many things that begin with Brucha at Shechina that I lose the chant if I start there. So we're going to start with one of the greatest Hebrew words ever, Mehulelet, which is to whom we ululate, which is just a good word. Mehulelet betishbachot, mehulelet betishbachot, mehulelet betishbachot, malka, malka, mehulelet betishbachot, mehulelet betishbachot, mehulelet betishbachot, malka, malka, la 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 la. Brucha at Shechina, brucha at Shechina, brucha at Shechina, malka, malka, brucha at Shechina, brucha at Shechina, brucha at Shechina, malka, malka, mehulelet betishbachot, mehulelet betishbachot, mehulelet betishbachot, malka, malka, mehulelet betishbachot, mehulelet betishbachot, mehulelet betishbachot, malka, malka, la 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 la. Brucha at Shechina, brucha at Shechina, brucha at Shechina, malka, malka, brucha at Shechina, brucha at Shechina, brucha at Shechina, malka, malka, mehulelet betishbachot, mehulelet betishbachot, mehulelet betishbachot, malka, malka, mehulelet betishbachot, mehulelet betishbachot, mehulelet betishbachot, malka, malka, la 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 la. So that is my chant. Shabbat Shalom, Diane. Okay, that one just makes me really, really, really happy. I hope it worked for you in any way. I find, especially in the morning, it's super energizing. So, and it just, I felt the need to share that there. So, we have stepped tonight from coming into presence with gratitude, honoring the divine presence, aligning our hearts with Shaddai, honoring the works of Shaddai, Shechina Achat El Malka, honoring Shechina the Queen, the Holy One, and acknowledging the oneness of the Holy One in all formation. And now we go to Psalm 29, which is acknowledging creation. And the version for this one is one of my absolute favorite things from the Ahava Rabbah OneShul Community Siddur. I love this one. I think it works so well. So this is acknowledging creation. It is a good thing to give thanks unto Hashem and to sing praises unto your name. Just like we did. O Most High, to declare your loving kindness in the morning and your faithfulness every night, with an instrument of 10 strings and a harp, with solemn music upon the lyre. For you, O Hashem, have made me rejoice through your work, and I will exult in the work of your hands. Your hands, my hands, your hands. I like that one a lot. So we have gone our steps tonight, and all of this, it's 6 steps before we can get to receiving the Sabbath bride. And I realize the 7 is a different one, but the 7th step in our journey tonight is Lechadodi, is receiving the Sabbath bride. You have to take each of these steps before you're really ready. So what did we do? Coming into presence with gratitude, honoring the divine presence, aligning our hearts with Shaddai, honoring the works of Shaddai. Shechina Echat Ele Malka, honoring the divine Holy One and the presence as King, Queen, and the wholeness and unity of the Holy One, and acknowledging creation. And so then and now, we have hopefully shed whatever stresses we walked in with tonight, whatever's out there in the world, and opened our hearts enough to actually receive the Sabbath bride. And so our Lechadodi chant, taking another sip. Our Lechadodi chant is a OneShul community created chant. We actually created this together over many months. And actually there is a new verse that I forgot to write down here, so I'll have to grab that for next month. This started when I decided to have a totally experimental Kabbalat Shabbat one night, and I read the thesaurus entry for the word receiving as our Lechadodi. And then I started to chant it, and people started to share what they were thinking. And it added those last few lines of the chant. And I'm so sad that I don't have those last 2 verses here for you tonight, because there's 2 more lines, and it's really amazing what people have added. So I absolutely ask you, if you have something that comes to you during this, share your thoughts, and we'll keep building this amazing OneShul community chant. It's just so sweet to have something that is so created by this community that we can use for our Lechadodi. So, if it is your practice, I invite you, when we get to that accept, meet, welcome line, to stand up, face a door in your house, and welcome the Sabbath bride. If it's not, stay seated. I'm going to sit so my head doesn't get cut off as I turn and face my door. Invite, take in, consider, regard, see, view, experience, anchor, find, partake, touch, encounter, keep, fate, celebrate, accept, meet, welcome the Sabbath bride with openness and peace, reconnecting with our faith. Invite, take in, consider, regard, see, view, experience, incur, find, partake, touch, encounter, keep, fate, celebrate, accept, meet, Welcome the Sabbath bride with openness and peace, reconnecting with our faith. Invite, take in, consider, regard, see, view. Keep, fate, celebrate, accept, meet. Welcome, a Sabbath bride with openness and peace, reconnecting with our faith. Boikala, Boikala, welcome Sabbath bride, welcome Sabbath bride. We welcome you with openness and peace, reconnecting with our faith. Boikala, Boikala, we welcome you with openness and peace, reconnecting with our faith. And with that, I put the question to all of you now. What does receiving the Sabbath mean to you? What does that idea? That's what Kabbalat Shabbat is all about. It means receiving the Sabbath. Kabbalat Shabbat. So that's what we're here to do tonight, is receive the Sabbath. It's such an amazing concept to play with. So think about that a lot. We have the ideas of recharging the soul and taking comfort in. So think about that. Write your own verses as part of this to end this prayer. Share them with me. Email them with me. I promise for next month I will absolutely have an updated version with some more of the lines that you all have added in the last couple of months. There's been some really good ones. So that's what we're here tonight to do. We receive the Sabbath. We don't just honor the Sabbath, we receive it. We take it into ourselves. That idea of that second soul that we take on, a little extra bit for the Sabbath, that there's 2 angels that guide us home on the Sabbath. It's a really amazing concept. I love, the more I dive in, the more I learn that how much richness there is to draw upon in our tradition. It's just really amazing. Absolutely, Brian. It's a taste of Olam Haba, the world to come. And that's something I think is really amazing. And I always play with, what is the perfect world to me in the world to come? And I always struggle with that in creating, because my perfect world, I'm creating things all the time. But I also know that if my hands are the hands of God and my body is the body of God in the world, if I don't rest on the Sabbath, then God doesn't get to rest. And so that's why we honor the Sabbath. I'm not a Shomer Shabbos person, because I don't need to guard the Sabbath. I need to honor the Sabbath. I need to Zachor Shabbos. I need to remember the Sabbath. And so that's where I always look at it, and steeping ourselves in Shabbos. It's true, it's like a nice cup of tea. That tea bag is really flat, but once you've put it in water and let it absorb and the aromas come up, and it just turns into something so new. We need to make, not tonight, it's Shabbos, but a Shabbos tea. What goes in our Shabbos tea? What do we drink in it? Is it the herbs from Havdalah? That would be amazing if we drank that all Shabbos, or if we held it until after. Oh my gosh, Shabbat Shalom. So we have taken 7 steps so far tonight to welcome the Sabbath bride, to ground ourselves again on our journey. We have come into presence with gratitude. We've honored the divine presence. We've aligned our hearts with Shaddai. We've honored the works of the Holy One. We have honored the oneness, Shechina Achat Ele Malka, Shechina the One, the Queen, or Adonai Echad El Malech, whichever works best for you. We have acknowledged creation and the amazingness of creation, and we've received and welcomed the Sabbath bride. And now our 8th step of the service. So now that we've received, what happens? Well, we steep ourselves in that idea of divine unity, in all the metaphor we use in Judaism, in these phrases. It's so easy to try to separate off these pieces, to see Shekhinah as a separate thing from the Holy One. Shekhinah is Holy One. Shekhinah is just the presence of the Holy One in the world, and so often a face of the Holy One that we can better engage with. We're human. We have to anthropomorphize because it's hard for us to deal with abstractions on that level. But we have to keep reminding ourselves that God is one. God is and God is one. And that all of these tricks we use for ourselves to engage with the Holy One, they're for our benefit. And so reminding ourselves that God is in the world and of the world and beyond the world is really important, and that Shekhinah is the Holy One, Chokhmah is the Holy One, Adonai is the Holy One. That there is, I always see it as it's a shimmering diamond with many, many facets and sparkles. Each facet is a unique facet, but it's still part of that same amazing, sparkling diamond. So with that, let's do Psalm 93, which is acknowledging divine unity. This is another one from Ahava Rabbah, the OneShul community Siddur. I like this one a lot too. God reigns. God is robed in majesty. God is robed, yes, God is girded with strength. The world also is set firm, that it cannot be moved. Your throne is set firm from of old. You are everlasting. The floods have lifted up, oh God, the floods have lifted up their voices. The floods lift up their roaring. The many voices, then the voices of many waters, mighty waters, breakers of the sea. More mighty is God on high. Your testimonies are very sure. Holiness becomes your house. Oh God, forevermore. I love this one because I love that the water and the idea of the waters lifting up and having the waves of holiness crashing over us and over us and over us. And even that, the voice of God is mightier than every crashing wave we can imagine and sound. And allowing ourselves to just be washed over and over. The ocean is another metaphor I've heard used to explain the unique facets of God and the unity of God, where a drop of water is a drop of water, yes, but when a drop of water is part of the ocean, it's the ocean, and all water on our planet is actually connected. And so you can think of that, each raindrop may be unique, but then it returns to its own source, so it flows in us, through us, and of us, which is very much how I experience God. So 8 steps we've taken. Let's remind ourselves of those steps again. Coming into presence with gratitude, honoring the divine presence, aligning our hearts with Shaddai, honoring the works of Shaddai, Shekhinah Echat Ela Malka, acknowledging creation, receiving the Sabbath bride, and grounding ourselves, diving into the idea and the understanding of divine unity. And now we come to the part of our service which is the Mourner's Kaddish. It's another prayer which is honestly all about honoring the Holy One. Our prayer of mourning traditionally has no reference to mourning. It is all about, in your darkest hour, crying out and praising God. That's so hard to do. And the Aramaic that most of us know and chant, you lose that and you just know it as the prayer of mourning. So this version I've been very honored, that seems to have been adopted by OneShul in the Ahava Rabbah Siddur and is often used, is one that I created to capture hopefully both the idea of praising God in our darkest hour, but also tying in the idea of mourning. So if you have somebody, oh my goodness, yes, Jones, this puts a huge new light on the idea of immersion. Imagine going to the mikvah and what you're doing is immersing yourself in the unity of the Holy One. It's kind of amazing. I never thought of that. And Patrick Church said, the Tao of Hashem. Yeah, interesting. I have issues with Taoism, but yeah, I also actually have more issues with Zen than I have with Taoism. But absolutely, I think there's some of that as well, and that there is universal truth. And it's not that all religions are the same, but there are things that are universal truths that go beyond everything. And I think that's where you see these threads in all the different faith practices. So if you have someone you are mourning this evening, please share their name in the chat room so we may all pray with you and for your loved one. If you wish to pray for those who have no one to pray for them, please feel free. If you wish to pray for those lost in conflict around the world, please feel free. If you are in mourning and it is your practice to say the traditional Kaddish, I invite you to do it. I would invite you to do that, frankly, if we were physically in space together. This is something, when we are in mourning, that it is very important that we are engaged in the practice that is healing and honest and true for us. And if saying the traditional Kaddish is the only way that works for you, then that is what you should do. So let us read together, or if and please share in the chat room the names if there's anyone you are praying for specifically tonight. I send you on with love in my heart, crying tears of joy for the life you have lived, praising the source of life for connecting our lives. I send you on to the next life. I send you on the way you lived, embracing who you were, not the space that you leave, praising the source of life for allowing us to love. I send you on to the next life. I send you on without fear. I will not curse or rend my garments, praising the source of life for granting us time. I send you on to the next life. I send you on with praise, singing songs of joy for all creation, praising the source of life for making us flesh and blood. I send you on to the next life. I send you on with libations and toasts, drinking to health and drinking to memory, praising the source of life for giving us words to share. I send you on to the next life. I send you on with stones, not flowers. I will not add death to death, praising the source of life for all creation. I send you on to the next life. We share the names of Ariel, Dawn, Simcha Bat Angus, all those who need to be prayed for tonight, those in our hearts, those in our minds, those all around the world with no one to pray for them. May the source of life be a comfort to all who mourn, and let us say, Amen. May your name be great and holy in the world which you have made in your way. May the presence of the Holy One, blessed is she, be over you in your life and the lifetime of your people. May Adonai be blessed forever. The greatness of the Holy One, blessed is he, is beyond all words. Blessed is Adonai. For those who choose to be chosen, for students and teachers of Torah, here or anywhere, may we all have blessings. May we all have life and peace. Amen. So we move into our Barhu, and we move into Ma'ariv. I know some of you have now been here for almost an hour and a half, and I thank you for staying, especially with our scheduling confusion tonight. I'm going to move swiftly but fully through these parts, so being conscious of time for everybody and the light growing dim, but I also don't want to shortchange anything. Baruch Hu Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. Blessed be to God, who is to be blessed. Blessed is God, who is to be blessed forever and ever. Amen. And if you're just joining us or recently joining us, I want to make sure that people have the service. You can download it at this link I'm posting. We move into Ma'ariv Aravim. So this is the refrain. I want to share this with you. I use the refrain from Rabbi Gila Razel Raphael's version of Ahava Rabbah. if it'll let me cut and paste for you or not. Really locking up. All my computer trauma. So we use the refrain from that, and we use the rest of it is the text from the Ahavarabba Siddur. And my computer, oh, there it is, was being a little challenging. Copy. All right, let me paste this refrain for you all so you have it. So we start with this refrain, and then we use the same tune in a way to chant through the rest. So please feel free to join me in the singing if you choose. Watch the sunset wherever you are. Acknowledge the end of our day and the beginning of our new day. Evening, the evening, evening the frayed edges of our lives. Mariv Aravim, Amen. Blessed are you, O God, our God, King of the universe, who at your word brings on the evening twilight, with wisdom opens the gates of the heavens, and with understanding changes the times and varies the seasons, and arranges the stars and the watches in the sky according to your will. Evening, the evening, evening the frayed edges of our lives. Mariv Aravim, Amen. You created day and night. You roll away the light from before the darkness, and the darkness from before the light. You make the day to pass and the night to approach, and divide the day from the night. Evening, the evening, evening the frayed edges of our lives. Mariv Aravim, Amen. God of hosts is your name, a God living and enduring continually. May you reign over us forever and ever. Blessed are you, O God, who brings on the evening twilight. Evening, the evening, evening the frayed edges of our lives. Mariv Aravim, Amen. And as we move from welcoming the evening, we move to our prayer of healing, the Misha Berach. If you have someone who needs healing tonight that you're praying for, please share their name in the chat room so we may all pray for them and lend our energy to their healing. And if you don't know who to pray for, then I recommend you head over to the OneShul prayer wall and see who is there that might need your prayers tonight. Eloheinu, God on high, let your children know healing. Nurture them body and spirit, and enfold them in the wings of your Shekhinah. Receive our prayers and know that we are ready for your glory to manifest, and ministering angels to bring not miracles, but your divine command. Adon Olam, ruler of the world, let all of these who we name tonight know perfect healing, swiftly and soon. Amen. We pray for Sarah. We pray for Tracy. I'm going to look at the prayer wall for a second and see who's there. We pray for Kohenet Ahava Lilith. And we pray for her husband and partner, Larry, whose Hebrew name I know and I've just forgotten. We pray for baby Naomi, who was born 6 weeks early and is in a neonatal ICU. We pray for Dr. Guillermo Gulain. We pray for a family who were unable to complete an adoption in April and whose heart is still broken from it. We pray for those who need healing in seeking their bashert, their partner in life. Oh my goodness. We pray for a young boy from Baltimore with Down syndrome who was recently shot. Wow. I'm going to stop looking at the prayer wall because that was a little too much. I've never heard of that one, and that just was, wow. Holy One, blessed be. Let them know perfect healing swiftly and soon. And we all say, Amen. Wow. And we move into our Ahavat Olam, the perfect world love of the Holy One. And that is how I experience it. It is not always a sense that God loves me personally as an individual, just as, although the king-queen metaphor doesn't usually work for me very well, but in this case it does. Because just as a king loves all of his subjects, he may not know them individually. And Ahavat Olam is, to me, the world love. It is the great love. It's not a personal love. It's a love that is beyond that. So this is a version I found on ritualwell.org, written by Bracha Yael. An unending love binds creation together like a beautiful patchwork quilt, where each piece is both unique and essential. To know only a part of it is to know all of it, and to cherish the smallest thing is to cherish the greatest thing. If we quiet down, we can almost hear the compassionate one lovingly sewing another stitch on creation's magnificent quilt. Listen, Israel, for the unceasing love that is buried within the deep, sweet silence of our souls. Amen. And we move into our Shema. The traditional is welcome. I usually actually use Ayeh Asher Ayeh, I am becoming who I am becoming, the name that was spoken to Moses. I will sometimes use Shekhinah. 3-syllable names work best in the Shema. There's many of them. There's Havaya, there's Chachma, there's Adonai. There's many, many of them. And the Shema, the first line, is actually a haiku. The way it's phrased, it was created before haiku, but it's a haiku. So 3-syllable words tend to work best. So I invite you to, if you choose, take your 3 fingers as a shin and to put them on your forehead, and we'll intone each word on a full breath together to bring the Shema out into the world. Shema Yisrael Tzimtzimai Eloteinu Tzimtzimai Achad. Baruch Sham Kavod Malchuta Le'olam Va'ed. So the name of God I, in the moment, chose to use was Simsamai. Since we've been talking so much tonight about the idea of God as queen or God as king, there's an ancient story from the Talmud about when Jerusalem was sacked. Queen Simsamai hid the sacred cinnamon trees that were used as the offering wood for the fires, for the sacrifices. I was taught that by my teacher, Rabbi Jill. And Simsamai is clearly a word derived from Tzimtzum, the Kabbalistic idea of creation and contraction to make space. And so it's a name I love because to me, it's she who creates space. So that's the word that the name that I chose tonight, in the moment, to use. And I invite you all, when you're doing this in physical space with others, to open that door to let people use whatever name of God they want. It's amazingly powerful to do the Shema like that and hear this symphony, this cacophony of different names, and know they're all oneness, but they're all different facets of it. And if you have time to talk with each other about the names that you've chosen and why they resonate for you. I do usually encourage people, depending on how diverse your community is, to please use Jewish names. I work in very pluralistic and multi-faith environments, so if I'm doing the Shema with people like that, I provide them with a name to use or encourage them to please use a Jewish name. So we move into our Ve'ahavta. I use the English from Ahavarabba for this because I love to make sure from time to time that we all remember what this prayer is. And I also invite you, as it mentions parts of your body, to actually rub that part of your body to bring the prayer into yourself. And you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and all your might. And these words which I command you on this day shall be upon your heart, and you shall teach them diligently to your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise up. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hands, and they shall be for frontlets between your eyes. You shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. And yes, I consider my arms to be the doorposts of my body, my personal house, and my legs are the gates. So I mark the prayer across my body in my way of tefillin. And now we move into the Amidah. And this is from the OneShul Siddur. It is the standing prayer, so if you are able to stand, if it is your practice to stand, I invite and encourage you to do so. If you are unable to, or not your practice, then I invite you to sit up as straight as you can. The idea for me of standing is coming into physical presence, is to hold our bodies upright and make sure that we are an open as possible channel in these prayers. So this is the Ahavarabba Siddur version. Again, it's on the sheet that I posted for those of you who have it. You have my thanks, O God, my God, the God of Israel and the God of our ancestors, God of Abraham, God of Sarah, God of Yitzhak, God of Rivka, God of Yaakov, God of Leah, God of Rachel, Lord of the universe, who has established what is good, and asks that we follow your example and live in love, beyond titles, male, female. You are our protection. You are blessed, shield of our fathers and our mothers, shield to us all. Lord of the universe, teach us, our minds and our hearts. After teaching us, forgive us. After forgiving us, be patient with our weaknesses. Patient one, make our lives worthy, and after making us worthy, heal our bodies. After we are healed, bless us. After we are blessed, bring us together. After we are together, judge us with mercy, and after judging us, defeat our evil and the evil of our world. after defeating evil. Help us create what is good. Now that we are holy, make all the earth holy. Accept our prayers. Continue to improve what we are. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. You are blessed, our holy God. Rucha at Shekhinah osah hashalom. You are blessed, our God, who creates and maintains peace. Baruch atah Adonai shomea tefillah. You are blessed, our God, who acknowledges when we call out. Amen. Shabbat Shalom to you all. I want to close tonight with the reminder for those who know and the announcement for those who don't that we are doing High Holy Day services at OneShul this year. I'm very excited. We are a grown-up shul. So I hope you can find a way to carve out part of your High Holy Day experience to join us. Erev Rosh Hashanah, Aaron, who is often here with us on Kabbalat Shabbat and has become just this amazing meditation teacher and leader for the OneShul community, he's going to kick off Erev Rosh Hashanah with a meditation. After that, you get me back. It is Rosh Chodesh as well. Rosh Hashanah is the Rosh Chodesh of Rosh Chodesh. So I will be kicking things off as well with an Erev Rosh Hashanah service. Good Shabbos, Sarah. So I hope you'll join us. They've posted to PunkTorah the Machzor, the prayer book we're using for the night. Patrick will be with you for other prayers. All the services are posted. Wait, I can look at the little handy schedule that's right here. If you are in Atlanta, I believe that Patrick Arliff, our very own Patrick Arliff, is having an in-person experience. On Tuesday, the second day of Rosh Hashanah, we're going to have Shacharit service at 11:30 in the morning, all Eastern time. I will, thank you, Tracy, coordinate with Patrick. And it is at 7:15 p.m. We're going to go with that official schedule. If it's an email I sent, I will clarify that with everybody. So 7:15 p.m. for Erev Rosh Hashanah. Sorry about the scheduling. Patrick and I do this every fall. We have like a month of messing schedules up. Sunday, September 23rd, Aaron will be back with us for a pre-Yom Kippur meditation. On Monday, the 24th, we have Mitzvah Monday here at OneShul. On Tuesday, Patrick is going to be leading a Kol Nidre remix service. I am so excited to find out what that means. And then finally, final Ne'ilah service of Yom Kippur. You're back with me again. So I'm excited because we're going to be opening the gates and closing the gates together. And I'm very excited. I've created a whole new service just for OneShul this year, trying to take into account our digital medium back and forth, and create something that will hopefully be meaningful and resonant for everybody. And having to pick a few key themes out of it, you can already see what it's all about because you can grab it on PunkTorah.com already. So I hope you'll join us. I'm super excited we're doing that this year. It's, to me, just such a big thing that we're even able to make this happen. It's Kabbalat Shabbat, so I'm not going to do the money pitch tonight. I'm just going to say that you all are OneShul, and it's amazing when you're here. We have more than 1 million tonight, and there's a lot of synagogues around the world that wish they could get 13, 15 people to show up for Kabbalat Shabbat services on a regular basis. So if you're here for whatever reason, whatever role OneShul fills in your life, I'm grateful for all of you and so grateful for OneShul on a regular basis. So I hope you'll all continue your ongoing support in whatever way you're able to. And I hope you'll join us here for High Holy Day services. And if not, then I'll see you all the first Friday in October, where I'll be back for Kabbalat Shabbat again at 7 p.m. Time will be official for the rest of the fall and winter, 7 p.m. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. I wish I had out music to play you out on, but the way I'm broadcasting tonight, I can't actually play music like I normally do, which makes me sad. And I will say one more thing on the way out. Our dear friend, Holy Taya Sher, who has gifted us with allowing us all to use her music in these services, so many of her chants that we use, and her albums that we play regularly, has a new album out. So after Kabbalat, after Shabbat is over, go check it out. It's called Torah Tantrika. It is her most experimental one so far. It's amazing. It's beautiful. And she's such a good friend to us all, and so please check out her new album. Next Rosh Chodesh and Kabbalat Shabbat, I will share some of that album with you. I'm figuring out how to work it in. So, Shabbat Shalom. May angels guide you home tonight. May you find peace and renewal and no more loud motorcycles in the Sabbath. Shabbat Shalom all.